Emily Parker's father and his mother, they don't live in Sandy Hook. I've never seen them before. They're not Emily Parker's parents, and for all of the other parents that are supposed to be actors. How does that happen? How do you cover that up? What the people who ascribe to these conspiracy theories think that they maybe wiped out the whole town of Sandy Hook. They killed all the existing inhabitants and then brought in an entire new collection of fake parents and fake kids. And maybe obviously it leads you to the conclusion that Sandy Hook School itself is a studio set. It never actually existed, because if you follow it through, these are the things that you logically have to conclude from this idea. This beginning idea of, they must be actors. And it's all based on this ridiculous premise that it is simply evidence that the people who are putting it forward are idiots, have no ability to think critically even for 5 seconds. Now, I'm not going to tar everybody who has bought into that belief as an idiot, because I understand that it's easy for people to be sidetracked by plausible conspiracy theories, especially people who realize just how screwed up this world is, and realize that there are the corruption that we all live under, and they're looking for a way to fight against it, to defeat it, to strike a blow against it, and it's quite appealing to jump at these kind of apparent opportunities to get a dig in or to strike a blow for the truth type of thing, but you have to be extremely careful.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't serve. Ultimately, it serves the people that you're supposedly fighting against, for you to go down this line, because they will use it against you. If you jump at the first kind of little piece of information that suggests that you might be able to blow the whole situation, blow the whole conspiracy wide open here. If you don't do your homework and make sure that it's kind of as hard and fast as it can be, it's going to be used to ridicule you and dismiss you.
Yeah, you're going to leave yourself wide open. You're going to leave.
You're also going to tar us.
You're going to tar everyone. Anyone who sincerely is interested in truth is going to be tarred by this.
Yeah, and of course that leaves open the idea that, which is entirely plausible, that someone, I mean the CIA, like I think you were mentioning earlier on, Neil, that the CIA and the FBI, etc., the intel agencies in the US have their armies of techno geeks sitting at computers and infiltrating. I mean, it was Cass Sunstein advocated this, the kind of cognitive infiltration of conspiracy theory websites and stuff. So obviously this kind of thing exists, and it's impossible that they would be deliberately creating websites and putting out these crazy conspiracy theories that are so easily debunked, deliberately to tar everybody who has any intent or desire to really get to the bottom of it.
They do perceive you as a threat. They really do. And that's why they've got armies of bloggers at the Pentagon with multiple screens open, multiple tabs open at one time, multiple fake user profiles, pushing these kinds of ridiculous things, some of which are kind of plausible. But if you just did a little bit of investigating, you'd soon discover that they're not standing on any evidence whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think I remember first seeing the first hoax story was that Robbie Parker had got it before the press, and he was smiling before, and that's therefore proof. I remember seeing that thing. Surely no one is going to run with this. This isn't going to have any legs. This will die soon. But I couldn't believe it. This is just taken off. It's taken off all the way to people saying the whole thing was a complete hoax. The Sandy Hook hoax is now associated in people's minds, in let's say in the mass of people's minds, in the mainstream arena.
Anybody who is aware of there being a conspiracy about Sandy Hook now has it's already discredited in their minds because of these people who have put forward this idea of actors.
Yeah. We have, Anderson Cooper, when he introduces his show. Now, he says, I wouldn't normally do this. Very disingenuous because...
Oh, yeah, of course. The media wouldn't normally try to debunk conspiracy theories and promote the official government version of things. They would never do that. I mean, there's no evidence at all for them ever doing that. But go ahead.
Well, he also said he didn't name which video. He said, I'm not going to give them any more attention than they deserve. I'm not going to say which video exactly. But he did say that there was one particular YouTube video that at that point, this report went out 7th of January, so 2 weeks ago. He said that this particular YouTube video had 200,000 views, and that's what drew his attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one he's talking about
is the one that has
is
10
the
million.
one that now has 11 million views. So he has brought it into the mainstream, and it's being held up as evidence of crazy conspiracy kooks.
Yeah. You see, the theory behind this is that, Anderson Cooper, being prime time and having a lot of viewers and stuff, comes on and says, I'm not going to give them any more attention that they're due than they deserve, which is, in his opinion, none. Because so he's not going to give any links or mention any of the names of any websites. But by doing a program on this, a debunking program, he encourages everybody who's watching to go out and find out for themselves, or at least a good proportion of those people who go and do that. So, I mean, it's totally disingenuous. Obviously, he's trying to say, I don't want anybody to go and look at these conspiracy theory websites, but by having a program on it, that's exactly what he's encouraging people to do. But having said all that, we're kind of torn here because it was a debunking of the things that we ourselves here and at Sott.net have been debunking, i.e. actors. He focused on the actors and the whole hoaxing, the elaborate hoax around Sandy Hook. That is just ridiculous, because the bottom line is that these mass shootings happen regularly in the U.S. No one said that Aurora was a hoax. No one said that Virginia Tech was a hoax. No one said that Fort Hood was a hoax, where large numbers of people were killed. So why would you say it about Sandy Hook? Obviously, whoever's doing this, whoever's carrying out these shootings, and I know it's put down to lone gunmen, but we don't believe that, and for good reason. Whoever's carrying out these shootings is doing it for a reason.
The reason is not, this is a whole other can of worms that comes with the Sandy Hook shooting. A lot of people who can see that something is fishy with this have jumped to the conclusion that the reason for doing this false flag operation, in quotes, is to enforce stricter gun control.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you look at what's actually happened in the aftermath of the shooting, sales of weapons went through the roof in the US. They increased, they did not decrease. Are we really to believe that the minds behind something like this would be so smart as to be able to pull off such an operation and yet not foresee a very predictable result, that it would actually increase hysteria and increase people's belief in the idea that they can protect themselves from these kinds of forces, like by acquiring more weaponry?
Mm-hmm. No, I mean the whole gun control thing, as far as I'm concerned, is a red herring. It's nonsense, and I think even it's being deliberately promoted in terms of, in an effort to stir up the population, just general stirring up of the population, setting people against each other, the pro and the anti. But it's got nothing to do. Sandy Hook has nothing to do with trying to take your guns away. Because, and I mean, that idea that it's designed, Sandy Hook, was some false flag to take your guns away, is based on a really faulty premise anyway. Because the premise that the people who ascribe to that idea or that theory, their premise is that it is only with a well-armed citizenry, i.e. every American who wants to have as many guns as they want should be allowed to have them, this armed citizen is the last defense against tyranny, against corruption, against the government coming to, I don't know, put you in, concentration camps or something like that. But the problem is that, well, for a start, my opinion is that true freedom cannot be safeguarded with a gun, because it can't really be taken away with a gun. But obviously, I don't want to get too airy-fairy there, but obviously, guns can be used to protect yourself. But the fact of the matter is, in terms of protecting civil liberties and rights enshrined in the U.S. Constitution, I mean, they've all already been, most of the most important ones have already been taken away over the last 10, 15 years. They've been systematically stripped away, and not one gun was used in their protection. Mm-hmm. So if anybody thinks that that by holding on to their guns, they're safeguarding U.S. rights and civil rights and liberties and freedoms, you're fooling yourself. They're already gone. You don't have them anymore. It's all over but the crying kind of thing. And okay, you might say, well, they put all this kind of police state apparatus in place, and they have all of these laws passed where they can basically indefinitely detain Americans when and where they want, and that the last defense against them coming to take you away will be your gun. But that's not the way it's going to happen. Americans aren't being enslaved and controlled, and will not be enslaved and controlled physically, because they have already been enslaved and controlled psychologically and emotionally for a long time. Basically, the people who are in control of you know you far better than you know yourself. They're experts in psychology, and they know how to tweak, push your buttons and get you to kind of jump on command, and they do it all. They're able to do it all, essentially because most human beings don't really understand their own emotions and their own kind of hot buttons. And
their own biases and what makes them tick. Their
own emotional reactions, their own emotional thinking. I mean, as evidenced by all these, these conspiracy theorists who talk about actors and stuff. I mean, they exhibit this inability to really think clearly. They're just emotional reaction machines, and that is how you are enslaved.
I don't know how many times I've seen comments to the effect that, wow, okay, so Sandy Hook was a hoax. Whoa, the official story is blown wide open. We've busted the government. We've got them now. They're running.
Yeah.
It could not be more opposite to what actually happened. Sandy Hook has shown to us, and we've looked at it in excruciating detail over the past 6 weeks, has shown us more than ever that when we're talking about a psychological operation, it is literally that, psychological, and they have it down to a T. It did not require this massive conspiracy, needing lots of people on the scene and very careful management of information afterwards. All it required was maybe 2 or 3 people speaking to the press
on the scene
and making sure certain things were leaked out. All it required was maybe a handful of people somewhere in the Pentagon, who knows where, getting this hoax idea up and running, because they know that you
are going to jump
at
on
least
it.
The gullible among us will take it and make it run with legs, and it'll grow and grow and grow.
And you'll, not only will you make a fool of yourself, but you'll also miss the real conspiracy that's going on here, and the real details of the conspiracy, and you'll miss an opportunity to understand